I worked the night shift at a shipping warehouse in Fresno, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., 5 nights a week. It's one of those jobs that's not terrible, just enough to pay the rent and make you question your life choices every now and then. If you blink, you've been there 5 years. And if you stop blinking, you're probably asleep on a stack of pallets in the back. The place itself is exactly what you'd imagine. Rows of conveyor belts, steel shelves stacked 20 feet high, forklifts buzzing past like angry bees, and that weird chemical smell that never quite leaves your clothes. The break room smells like burnt popcorn and old coffee. There's always one vending machine that eats your dollar and another that gives you expired chips. Real 5-star service. The crew's all right. There's Alex, who sings off-key to whatever R&B is playing in his earbuds, and Nico, who's perpetually 5 minutes late, but somehow never gets written up. He shows up every night looking like he's rolled out of a moving car, Red Bull in one hand, half-eaten granola bar in the other. We all mostly keep to ourselves, unless someone's complaining about overtime or the vending machine drama. It's a quiet camaraderie. Not close, but familiar. Then, about halfway through July, this new guy shows up. A temp from one of those agencies management uses when we're short-staffed. He looked out of place immediately. Older, maybe mid to late 40s, with this clean-cut appearance and ironed khakis. Nobody wears khakis here. That's how you know someone's not going to last. He didn't talk much, just followed the supervisor around during his first shift and nodded a lot. Third night, I'm grabbing coffee during break. If you can call it that. It tastes like warm dishwater. And the guy walks in. He stands by the machine like he's debating whether it's worth the risk, then turns to me and asks, "You get off right at 6, or do they ever keep you late?" Caught me off guard a little, but I figured maybe he was trying to figure out how long these shifts really ran. I shrugged. Depends. Sometimes later if we're behind. Why? No reason, he said, smiling just enough to show he was trying to be friendly. Just curious. I didn't think much of it at first. It's not a weird question on its own. But later that night, when I was restocking a shelf, he wandered by again and asked, "You park in the front lot?" Mouthful of sandwich. I nodded. Yeah, easier to get out when shift ends. He looked thoughtful. Smart. My car's in the back, might move it tomorrow. After that, things got strange. He started showing up wherever I was. Same aisle, same break times. Once, I went to the far side of the building for a bit of quiet, and 5 minutes later, there he was. Leaning on the same stack of boxes, sipping the same blue Gatorade I always drank. Then one night, I realized we were eating the exact same thing. Microwave burrito, blue Gatorade, pack of crackers, all from the vending machines. Sure, but still, it felt intentional. And then I lost my key card. I always keep it clipped to my belt. Always. One night, mid-shift, I went to clock out for lunch and it was gone. Vanished. I retraced my steps for nearly an hour, asked around, checked the floor, break room, bathroom, everywhere. Nothing. That night, around 3 a.m., I was sitting in the break room, kind of zoning out, eyes drifting toward the parking lot. There's a big window that overlooks the front lot. Only real source of natural light when the sun comes up. But under those harsh outdoor lights, I saw something that snapped me out of my daze. My car. driver's side door wide open. I jumped up so fast I spilled my coffee. Ran outside, heart racing. Not because I was scared, but because I knew that door had been shut. Nobody was around. My glove box was hanging open. I always keep it locked. Inside, everything looked untouched, except the spare apartment key I keep hidden in the back corner. Gone. I went straight to security. They pulled up the camera feed. Of course, our lot cam is ancient. Low res, grainy, maybe 15 frames per second. All we could make out was a blurry figure leaning into my car, then walking off. Could have been anyone. Could have been him. They just shrugged, said they'd log it and keep an eye out. Next few nights, I parked under the one working floodlight on the far side of the lot. Didn't help. Every time I walked out to my car, I felt like someone was watching me. Not just paranoia, something sharper, like the feeling you get when you know someone's eyes are on your back. And then there was the car. Same one. A white four-door with tinted windows, parked across the street from my apartment 2 nights in a row. Third night it was closer, moved half a block down. Fourth night, gone. Fifth night, back again. That same shift, I saw the temp by my station. I was scanning and labeling boxes, and he wasn't even pretending to work. Just standing there, arms crossed, watching me. We locked eyes. I walked over and tried to play it cool. "Hey, you been in the front lot lately?" He tilted his head like he didn't quite get the question. "Why?" "Because someone got into my car." He smiled, didn't blink. "That's wild. People do anything these days." He walked off before I could say anything else. That night, I took my break early, stepped outside for some air, lit a cigarette, and leaned against the railing, trying not to stare at the parking lot. But then I noticed movement. Someone was crouched by my car. Not doing anything, just sitting there, squatting like they were inspecting the wheel well or something. I dropped the cigarette and ran. By the time I got there, they were gone. No car driving away, no footsteps. Nothing. But lying next to my front tire was my old key card. I didn't go back inside. I sat in my car with the doors locked, just staring out the windshield. The sun came up a little after 6. I drove home with my eyes on the rearview mirror the whole way. When I got to my apartment, I locked the door, pushed a chair under the knob, and closed every curtain. Didn't sleep. Couldn't. Around 6:45 a.m., the time I'd normally be getting home from work, I heard it. Soft. Metallic. Someone was jiggling my doorknob. I crept up to the door and stood there, barely breathing. After a few seconds, it stopped. I waited, counted to 60, then another 60. Looked through the peephole. Nothing, but I heard slow, quiet footsteps fading down the hall. I filed a police report the next morning, told them everything, the temp, the key, the break-in. They were polite, but unbothered. Took my statement, said they'd investigate. That night, HR pulled me aside. The temp hadn't shown up. No call, no notice. They pulled his file. No badge ever issued. Time card handwritten. I called the agency, gave them his name. They said they never sent anyone to our site by that name. It's like he never existed. I changed my locks, got a door camera, moved my spare key to a locked drawer in my bedroom. I don't keep anything in the glove box anymore. Hell, I barely even lock eyes with people in the break room. And some nights, walking to my car, I still look around, just in case. I still don't know what his intentions were or why he chose me. But I keep my keys somewhere new now. Somewhere no one can see. Pulling the night shift at a gas station off I-244 in Tulsa isn't the most exciting job in the world, but it's easy enough. You just have to know how to keep your head down, stay out of trouble, and keep your cool when weirdos wander in past midnight, which happens more often than you'd think. It's a quiet kind of job. Too quiet sometimes. The kind where the silence makes you feel like you're the last person left on Earth. The kind where you start narrating your own life in your head just to pass the time. I used to think the quiet was peaceful. Now I'm not so sure. It was the tail end of July, and the heat hadn't let up even though the sun had been down for hours. You could feel it radiating off the pavement outside, like the concrete itself was holding a grudge. The AC inside couldn't quite keep up, so the whole store smelled kind of plasticky and damp, like the candy aisle was melting. Even the air felt sticky. It was just after 11:50 p.m., and I was doing what I always do, closing out the first drawer, counting the scratch-offs, and stacking trash bags for the midnight run. I hadn't seen a customer since a college kid came in for a vape pen around 11:05. That's when I saw a man walking in. Polo shirt tucked into jeans, phone in hand. He had this sweaty, rushed look about him, like someone who just ran across a parking lot in too tight shoes. There was a sheen on his forehead, and his eyes kept moving like he was searching for something. Not browsing, searching. Purposefully. He didn't take long. Came straight to the counter, already speaking before he even got to me. "Hey man, sorry to ask, but my wife's in labor and we're trying to get to Hillcrest. Can I use the restroom real quick?" I nodded toward the hallway. Public restrooms just around the corner. He looked at the sign, then back at me. "Nah, I mean the employee one. It's urgent. Please." He started stepping toward the counter like he meant to walk behind it. I stepped in front of him. "Sorry, can't do that. Store policy." He stopped mid-stride, tried to smile. "Come on, man, she's in the car. I just need a second." The public one was locked at the last station, and I've been holding it. The way he said it, "She's in the car." Something about that stuck in my head. I couldn't explain why. I didn't move, just looked him dead on. That's when I noticed where his eyes were drifting. Not to me, not to the restroom, but toward the back of the store, specifically the mounted camera above the stockroom door. I didn't like that. I reached up and clicked the mic on my walkie. It wasn't connected to anything, but he didn't know that. "Yeah, can you come up front?" I said loud enough for him to hear. He blinked, then turned his eyes back to me. "You working alone?" "Second guy's just in the back," I lied. "He'll be out in a second." We stood there like that, me in his path, him thinking it over. I wasn't backing up, and I could tell he didn't like that. Eventually, he stepped back. "All good," he said, all friendly again. "Didn't mean to freak you out." He drifted away like nothing happened, wandered to the back coolers and picked out a bottle of water, took his sweet time browsing the gum and snacks, but didn't grab anything else. I kept my eyes on him the whole time. When he finally brought it up, he smiled like we were buddies. "Long night, huh?" "Yep." I scanned the bottle. $1.89. He handed me a $5. Waited for change. Didn't break eye contact the entire time. Then he nodded once and walked out. But here's the part that still bugs me. He didn't get in a car. I leaned to look through the side window. He rounded the corner of the building and vanished out of view. No lights turned on, no ignition, no movement. He just disappeared around the back. I waited, staring out the window, but nothing happened. I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. Probably he had a car parked around the corner. Maybe his wife really was in labor and he didn't want to disturb her. But I didn't believe that. 5 minutes passed. I grabbed the tied-up garbage bag, slipped on a pair of gloves, and cracked the back door open. The alley out back was like an oven. The dumpster sat in its usual concrete cove, barely lit by the spill from a street lamp 30 feet away. I could hear bugs buzzing near the light. Other than that, quiet. I stepped outside and let the door fall shut behind me. I'd made it about halfway to the dumpster when I heard a soft scuff to my left. I turned. He was there, standing behind the dumpster. No smile this time, no water bottle. Just holding something dark and wrinkled in his hands. Looked like rubber gloves. His breathing was shallow and quick, like he'd been gearing himself up. He didn't say anything. Neither did I. I turned and walked quickly, calmly, back to the door. My hand was already on the handle before my brain fully caught up. The door jams sometimes. You have to give it a good yank to get it open. This time it opened easy. I stepped in and slammed it shut, locked the bolt, then leaned against it for a few seconds while my mind caught up. I picked up the phone and called the non-emergency line. Explained there was a man loitering near the back of the store, possibly attempted unauthorized entry. 12 minutes later, a cruiser pulled up. 2 officers stepped in, and I walked them through everything. They checked the alley with flashlights, did a full circle around the building. The guy was gone. But they did find something. In the dust behind the dumpster were partial footprints, pressed deeper into the dirt, like someone had been standing there a while, waiting. One officer used a pen to pick something up, a black rubber glove, turned inside out. "Door might have saved your life," he said. They offered to stay while I locked up, but I had another 6 hours ahead of me. I told them I'd be fine. Maybe I meant it. Maybe I didn't. They drove off and I double-checked all the locks. I didn't tell my manager. Didn't want the shift reassigned. I like nights. Now, there's a crowbar behind the counter and one by the back door. And when I take out the trash these days, I do it fast. One hand on the bag, the other on the handle. Working the graveyard shift at a 24/7 gym sounds worse than it actually is. At least most nights. It's slow, quiet, and you get to know the regulars pretty quick. The ones training for something, the ones trying to escape something, and the ones who just don't like people. I get it. I was covering the overnight shift. It was the middle of January, cold enough that the front doors fogged up every time someone walked in. Between midnight and 3 a.m., it's usually the same few faces. A couple of guys from the casino down the road, 2 students who always work out in silence, and a woman named Jules who runs on the treadmill like she's chasing something. Nothing exciting, but it's what I'm used to. You fall into routines. Clean the locker rooms, restock the mini fridge, wipe down benches no one even used. Some nights I read, some nights I scroll. But that Tuesday felt off. Not at first. Just enough to make you feel like something was going to shift. By 2 a.m., I'd already wiped down the counters, organized the front desk drawer, and was halfway through a cold coffee. The cameras were clear. The floor was calm. I'd just come back from checking the towel bins when the glass doors slid open. He came in alone. No gym bag, no water bottle, just jeans, a dark puffer jacket, and this look like he was trying too hard to seem relaxed. He didn't scan a key card, didn't even look at the scanner. I stepped out from behind the desk. "Hey, can I help you?" He smiled. Too quick, too practiced. "Just waiting on my cousin. Said he'd meet me here." I paused. Gave him a once-over. "All right, visitors are fine if you stay out of the workout areas." He nodded and walked over to the windows by the treadmills. Didn't sit. Just stood with his hands in his jacket pockets, scanning the gym floor. More like cataloging everyone inside. At first, I wanted to believe him. Maybe his cousin really was running late. Maybe he was just bored. But the longer he stayed, the more uneasy it got. 15 minutes passed. Then 20. He didn't pull out a phone, didn't scroll, didn't text or check the time. Just walked slow, casual laps around the perimeter of the gym. Not working out, not stretching, just circling, watching. He passed by Jules twice. She caught my eye the second time, raising her eyebrows like, "What's his deal?" I gave her a small shrug but kept him in my line of sight. Then he drifted back toward the desk. "You always work this shift?" I forced a chuckle. "Nah, just covering. Usually mornings." That was a lie. I always work nights. "What time do you get off?" he asked. 9. I lied again. "Got a long one tonight." He nodded and walked away again, slower this time, his gaze lingering a little longer on the people still around. By 2:45, 2 regulars, Marcus and Devin, walked in. Big guys, early 30s, both into powerlifting. Quiet but solid. They nodded at me on the way to the free weights. I saw the man clock them immediately. He didn't linger much after that. A few minutes later, he wandered back to the entrance. "Guess he bailed on me," he said with that same stretched smile. "Have a good one." He stepped outside. I stood up and walked over to the window, pretending to check the weather display. But really, I watched him. He didn't get into a car. He drifted to the far end of the lot and disappeared into a shadowed corner where the lights didn't reach. I finished the shift trying not to overthink it. Just kept busy, acted normal. By 6:45 a.m., the place had thinned out. Jules left first. Devin and Marcus followed after finishing their cool-down stretches. By 7:10, it was just me. I clocked out, grabbed my bag, and threw on my jacket. My car was parked at the far edge of the lot, near the back fence. I walked out into the biting cold, head down, keys already in hand, and then I noticed it. A car idling in the far corner. No headlights, just exhaust curling into the frigid air lit by the dull orange of the parking lot lamps. It was too dark to make out the driver, but it was there, engine running. Not parked near the entrance, not near the other cars, just in the corner. I slowed down slightly, kept walking, but my senses were lit up now. The hairs on my arms stood up under my coat. I hit unlock on my key fob from 10 feet away. The flash of my headlights felt too bright. I got in fast, locked the doors, and started the engine. The car in the corner flicked its headlights on. Not bright, just a flick. Enough to say, "I see you." I didn't wait. I backed out fast, turned sharply, and drove straight out of the lot. Didn't look back. Didn't care if I scraped a curb. At the first red light, I called Lily, my best friend. Just hearing her voice helped. I told her something weird happened, that I needed to crash at her place. I drove in loops for half an hour, through neighborhoods I didn't live in, down roads I didn't know. I checked my mirrors constantly. Never saw the car again, but I swear it still felt like it was somewhere right behind me. Eventually, I pulled into a 7-Eleven lot and parked under the brightest set of lights I could find. I sat there, engine running, trying to breathe normally. When I finally made it to Lily's, she didn't ask many questions, just handed me a blanket and let me take the couch. The next night, I brought it up to my manager. He didn't laugh, didn't brush it off. He walked to the back office and pulled up the security feed. We watched the footage together. There he was. Same guy, same jacket, same uncomfortable pacing. Then we jumped to the next night. He came back, didn't come inside, just stood at the far corner of the building, watching, hands in his pockets, no lights on the car, barely moved. We called the police. They showed up about 20 minutes later, took my statement, said they'd file a report and add patrols to the area. But I could tell, unless he did something, they couldn't do much. One of the officers was chatting with my manager when he pulled the door open to let them out. That's when he saw the note. It had been tucked into the outside door handle, folded tight and creased. No envelope. It said, "You looked cold. I could have kept you warm." I asked to be moved to day shifts after that. And now, no matter where I park, I always check the corners first. Thank God I haven't seen him again. I still can't help but think back to that night. The car, the way he looked at me. I don't know what he wanted, but I know he wasn't waiting for his cousin. I work nights at a business hotel on the outskirts of Tucson, the kind that sits just off the interstate and looks identical to a dozen others in a 5-mile stretch. 3 stories, beige stucco, free continental breakfast, and lukewarm coffee in paper cups. You've seen one, you've seen them all. I'm the overnight receptionist. It's mostly quiet. We cater to sales reps, tired families on road trips, and the occasional guest who's clearly there to cheat on someone. People who check in, sleep, and head out before sunrise. I check them in, hand over a room key, answer questions about vending machines and Wi-Fi passwords, and otherwise try not to fall asleep at the desk. We're not the kind of place where weird things happen. No events, no conventions, no drama. The night shift is more about staying awake than staying busy. If anything, the job can get painfully dull. Security's more of a concept than an actual system. We've got cameras, sure, but they're only checked when something goes wrong. After midnight, I'm the only one on staff besides the occasional janitor making rounds. I buzz people in. That's about it. So when a DoorDash guy showed up around 1 a.m., I didn't think anything of it. Food deliveries come through all the time. Drunk guests forget they already ate dinner. Lonely ones order for the sake of interaction. Happens more than you'd think. He came up to the glass door and gave a small knock, held up a large red thermal bag. Middle-aged guy, wearing jeans and a clean polo shirt under a zip-up hoodie. Friendly face, baseball cap pulled low. Delivery for room 214, he said once I buzzed him in. Guest said they'd meet me by the elevator. I nodded and pointed down the hallway. Second floor, left out of the elevator. Should be waiting. He thanked me and headed off, calm and casual. I turned back to the front desk, tapped through a couple of spreadsheets and forgot all about him. About 10 minutes later, I looked up, and there he was again. No food bag this time. He was sweating, not from heat. It was 60 degrees in the lobby, and this guy looked like he'd been running laps in a sauna. His shirt clung to his back, and his hair was matted down under the cap. Something was off. He gave a nervous chuckle. Hey, I forgot to ask about the tip. Figured maybe the guest, I don't know, had something in cash? I raised an eyebrow. Most people tip through the app. Yeah, no worries. Just thought I'd check. He smiled, but it looked strained now. Forced. I nodded, still watching him. He hesitated like he had more to say, but gave up and turned to leave. His walk was slow, like he wanted to linger without looking like he was lingering. I watched him go. Something about the way he moved felt weird. Too rehearsed, almost. Like someone playing the part of casual. I flipped open the camera monitor just to check where he'd gone. Rewound to when he came in. He took the elevator to the second floor, but instead of stopping at room 214, he walked past it. Turned into the staff-only hallway that runs behind the guest rooms. That hallway leads to two things: maintenance storage and the staff restrooms. No one has business back there but us. I fast-forwarded. 10 minutes later, the camera caught him walking back down the hall. Same path, still no food bag. He left the hallway, passed through the lobby again, and exited out the front. I grabbed my flashlight and walked down there myself. The hallway was quiet. I peeked into the supply closet, locked. Peeked into the restroom, empty. Then I noticed the window above the toilet. It was open, just a crack, but enough. It's one of those narrow, rectangular windows you'd have to really want to squeeze through. I've worked here 3 years and I've never seen it open. The sink below it was slightly damp, like someone had stepped on it to reach the ledge. My throat tightened. I walked back to the desk and pulled up the exterior camera that faces the back lot. And there he was, crouched next to a white SUV, one of the guests' cars. His food bag was gone, and in his hand was something thin, a wire, a coat hanger. He was trying to jimmy the lock. I stared at the screen for a few seconds before reaching for the phone. My hands felt slow. I didn't want to believe what I was seeing. I called room 214. Hi, this is the front desk. Just checking. Did your food arrive okay? A woman answered. She sounded groggy. What food? I didn't order anything. I told her to stay in the room and lock the door. Then I called the police. They arrived faster than I expected. One car pulled up in about 7 minutes. I showed them the footage, front desk, hallway, back lot. They checked everything. He was gone. No sign of a vehicle nearby. Just tire tracks at the edge of the back lot, leading into the brush. No footprints, at least not any clear ones. He must have parked down the road or had someone pick him up. Behind the vending machines near the side entrance, one of the officers found the red DoorDash bag. Inside was a half-eaten burger and a small container of fries, still faintly warm. No receipt, no name, no customer ticket. They ran the license plate we caught briefly on the exterior cam when he first pulled in. Fake. Didn't match any registered vehicle in Arizona or anywhere else. Later, when they followed up with DoorDash, they confirmed what I already knew. No orders had been placed for our address that night. Nothing for our hotel. Nothing for room 214. Not even a canceled delivery. He wasn't a delivery guy, he was casing the place, looking for an open door, and he found one. Just not the one he wanted. If you think working nights just means boredom and bad coffee, you haven't seen what we've seen. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and tell me, what's the creepiest thing that's ever happened to you? Night shifts can be terrifying, but at least you're not stuck on a desolate road at 2 a.m. Click now to watch 4 disturbing road trip horror stories and find out how some roads don't end where they're supposed to. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next nightmare.